Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are making buckwheat bread.
Grab a plate, 'cause it's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Growing Spaces. Within 7 days of harvesting, most fruits and vegetables lose 50% of their nutritional value and can sit in storage for weeks before appearing on the store shelves. The best way to get the complete nutrition from your produce is to pick it fresh, right off the vine from your own backyard greenhouse. For over 30 years, Growing Spaces has been providing geodesic greenhouses for families, communities, and nonprofit organizations that allow growing year-round, regardless of weather conditions, even under 2 feet of snow. We plan on installing one in the future here on the show. As a very special deal for our viewers, click the link in the description to learn more and to save 5% off of your order.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we are making bread. Yay! Buckwheat bread. So it is gluten-free, amazing. Even though buckwheat is called buckwheat, there's wheat in the name. It's not actually in the wheat family. It's its own seed. I'm not really sure why they called it wheat. It looks very similar, but I'm going to show you. This is what whole buckwheat looks like. The husk is actually a really dark brown. It's a really cool looking little geometric shape. And the holes, the husk, they actually use for making pillows. It's kind of like a therapeutic kind of pillow. But then you get this nice grain like this. At the grocery store, what you're going to see is buckwheat flour. And if you notice the color, this is buckwheat flour and the buckwheat hulls. And this is quite a bit darker in color. And what I've learned is that the buckwheat flour that you get that's already ground is the hull or the husk and everything ground up together. So, you know, this is already hulled, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to make 2 loaves. I'm going to make one out of the store-bought flour, and then I'm going to grind my own buckwheat groats and make a loaf, just so you can see the difference. The texture comes out a little bit different, the color is a little bit different, the taste is a little bit different. But my personal opinion, I like the store-bought a little bit better. And I'm thinking if it's the husk is still ground in there, that you're getting even more minerals than it already has, which it's an amazing, healthy seed, grain, just wonderful. So we're gonna jump right in. This is 2 cups of buckwheat flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, or baking powder, I'm sorry. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're just gonna mix those up a little bit. And then we will mix up our wet ingredients. So what I have here, I've got 2 cups of unsweetened soy milk, and you can use whatever plant milk you like. But I always stress using unsweetened plant milks, because the ones with sweetener in there, it's usually sugar. And we don't need all that extra sugar because we're going to get our sweetness from some delicious raisins. This is 1/4 cup of raisins, 1 teaspoon of Bragg's liquid aminos, which is just a little bit of a salty flavor, and then 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And that's going to give it a little bit of a tartness. So we're rounding out all of those flavors, right? So we're just going to blend this until the raisins are as pulverized as they can be.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Complement. As healthy as it is, did you know there are a handful of missing or hard-to-get nutrients from a plant-based diet? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why I take Complement Plus every day. Complement Plus contains the 8 critical nutrients in dosages optimized specifically for plant-based eaters. Plus, they're completely transparent about ingredient sourcing and third-party testing, publishing the results directly on their website. As a special discount for our viewers, just use the code WFPB15 at checkout to save 15% off of your order.
Okay, that is enough. Even if they're still in little chunks, as you can see in there, that's okay. They'll just be little chunks of little sweet goodies in there. Okay, so now we're gonna pour this into our flour. And I already have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now we're just gonna mix it up. And if you'll notice, you know, it looks really kind of soupy, more like a cake batter in the beginning, but as you stir, the buckwheat starts to soak up that liquid and it starts to thicken like right away, which is pretty amazing to me. I think that's it's just fun to watch it happen. You know, you can see it right here. There it goes. It starts to get really thick. So it goes from being like a cake batter to almost like a brownie batter. Maybe not quite that thick. If I let it sit for longer, it will probably get that thick. Okay, I have my silicone baking bread pan here, just a regular size bread pan. That we're just gonna pour that in. You guys are just gonna love this bread. I've been making so many things out of buckwheat lately. We've just fallen in love with it. And it's so, so good for you. I don't ever feel bad about trying to make more things out of buckwheat because I know it's so good for you. Okay, so there's the one loaf. I'm just gonna show you the grinding part of the grain first. Now we're gonna grind up our buckwheat groats. So this is just 2 cups. And I've got my handy dandy NutriBullet here. Just because it's not a huge amount. You can use whatever blender you have. It's not a super, super hard grain, so it's pretty easy to grind up. And I'll show you what the end result is and how it looks different. Okay, if you can see the color of that, see how light that is? It's so much lighter than this color. It's kind of more of a grayish color. This is a really light color. All right, so I'm gonna mix up the second loaf and then I'll show you them side by side, what they look like. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of recipes on our website, PlantBasedCookingShow.com, and our new Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting members. By becoming a supporting member, you gain access to great member perks like monthly product giveaways, free downloads of our ebooks, and access to our in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. We create this show for the hundreds of thousands of viewers just like you who tune in each month from all over the world to make it easy for everyone to live a plant-based lifestyle. So if you love our content, please join us on our mission and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, I got that finished and this is what they look like. You can see how different they look. So then when I get them baked, we'll bring them out and you'll get to see the difference from that too. And even when I taste test, I'm gonna taste both of them. So let's get them in the oven. They're gonna go in between 35 and 40 minutes. Okay guys, they are out of the oven, looking beautiful. If you wanna come in and take a look so you can see the difference, I usually just let them sit here on the cooling rack in the pan for at least 10 minutes or so, and then I pop them out of the loaf so that the bottoms and the sides don't start to get condensation and get soggy. So I'm just gonna let them sit and then I'll flop them out and let them cool a little bit longer before we go for a taste. Okay guys, time for taste. But here you see our beautiful loaves out of their pans. They look great. And you see how different that is? The difference of the flour. It's just bizarre. So let's cut into these guys here. Let's see what we got. Ooh, look at that. That is beautiful. It's spongy, it stays together, like not crumbly. Perfect sandwich bread or toast. The texture is so nice. And the flavor, to me, is pretty mild. Let's try the other one. Okay, here you can see the difference. It's a little bit more, even more spongy. Seems like it's a little bit lighter. This one's a little bit heavier, which is kind of surprising because this one has the holes still on it. This one doesn't. I would think this one would be lighter, but this seems to be lighter and fluffier. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I mean, they're both great, but I think I prefer this one. It's got a little bit stronger of the buckwheat flavor, which is what I like. Okay guys, be sure to give this a like, make it, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next week for another great recipe.